Hello, welcome to episode 6 of We Don't Talk About Uno, the podcast where we talk about Disney Lorcana, a trading card game. I'm here with my co-host, David.
Hello, Simeon.
Only you're not here at all. We're recording this remotely for the first time ever.
Yep. It's an experiment. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. So we can either... You give us feedback. If you're just like, never do that again, guys. We never want to hear the little bit of latency and the awkward silences and the rubbish audio quality. Or if this works, then it means I don't have to do the washing up and make my house presentable for David to come over and do recording. So that also works. So yeah, drop us a comment. Let us know if the audio quality is working for you. How are you doing, David?
I'm good. I'm a little bit cold because everybody knows that podcasts are fueled by chocolate. So I had a little walk out to the shop to get some chocolate, and it is very, very cold out there.
It is absolutely nobbling in Wales right now. Although I'm thinking some of our listeners are at the other side of the world, as of the stats. So yeah, if you're sat there in sweltering sunshine listening to this, yeah, we hate you right now. So what we're doing today, it's been a little while since we've done one of these. So we've got a schedule. We're going to do a bit of housekeeping. There is some actual Lorcana news. We're going to talk about the actual, real Lorcana news.
I don't know about this, Simeon. I don't know about this news.
Oh, I'll tell you. It's great.
All the news I've seen is tweets saying cast spells with ink or something like that, which we already knew.
We already knew that.
I've not been very excited by the news that's been out there.
There's news. It's real news.
That's real news. Okay.
I mean, I don't know how exciting it is, but
so it's better than use amber ink to cast amber characters. It's better than that. Because that's what the news has been. And it's like, my mind isn't blown. I'm sorry to be cynical.
Behind the cycle. Yeah, then we're going to do a little main topic then, and then the child has prepared his holiday special. So we will have a section for the child later on. Today, I put on Twitter just a little, hey, have you got any questions? And loads of people ask questions. So we will be doing some listener questions.
I'm excited about some questions. I just hope it's not like, what are the rules? Because we've guessed that already.
And then we'll end with your favourite part of the show, David. I have prepared a little game.
Oh, my goodness. Is it a quiz?
It's a quiz.
It's a quiz.
You love quizzes. You love quizzes.
Love's a strong word, Simeon.
Amazing. Great. So anyway, just a bit of housekeeping. We had told you that Beck was going to be here to enthuse about Disney stuff again. However, she's not able to make it tonight. One of the reasons why we've taken so long to record another episode is because she wasn't very well, and then I wasn't very well, and there's been it's not been great. And now she's got a lot of work on, so she couldn't make it tonight. But I did speak to her just a moment ago, and she's doing well now. She's feeling better now. And also my laptop died, but I now have a new laptop, so that's happening as well, which is great. The other thing, though...
Are you sure you've not got some homework due soon, Simeon? You sound like you've got homework due soon. My laptop died and...
Yeah, my tortoise ate my homework. No, my tortoise has just woken up from, last week, woke up early from hibernation, and I haven't been able to settle him again.
Oh, no.
So, this is
not
fine.
Good?
He's fine. He's just independent-minded.
Yeah.
Has his own thoughts. Anyway, he hasn't eaten my homework, though. But the other thing is, I've thanks to everybody who's messaged in saying, where's the next episode, guys? Because we've had a few messages saying, oh, when's the next episode? I've kind of responded to all of them, kind of going, well, we didn't really have a lot to say until now. I don't know how you feel about that, David.
I still feel like we don't have a huge amount to say. But
yeah,
we wanted to say hello. We're still here, and I guess it's more of a kind of get to know us a bit episode. Like people will get to know us a bit more as hosts through the episode. I guess that will be.
Yeah, and we are super interesting people.
But if someone's listening a long time in the future and Lorcana's already out, I would say this probably isn't the episode you want to listen to. There will be more relevant episodes once Lorcana is out that are like really directly about Lorcana.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I've said a couple of times on social media, well, I just don't have a lot to say about that. Now, this isn't to throw any shade on the content creators who are putting out weekly, daily content. If people are putting out loads of content, that's great. It's just not what we want to do, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I kind of really want to make sure that everything that we record and put out there is relevant to anybody who's interested in the game, and not just going into the minutiae of everything. But that's no shade on the people who are doing that. That's great. We love a lot of the content that's out there. Okay, so there's news. There's been real news, David.
Go on. I've got our notes. We have notes for the podcast. We prepare notes. We do prepare in front of me, and there's a section called the news. And now you just got me in suspense. Like, what is this? The news?
I know it doesn't sound like we prepare everyone, but we do. So, the content creator Knive off of Knives Nerd Corner. There's a tongue twister. Say that 5 times quickly. No, thank you. Anyway, Knive off of Knives Nerd Corner messaged the Disney Lorcana account, which has been very active. They have been putting out tweets and images, and they've also put the images onto Instagram and Facebook, and said, could you offer us a little tidbit, something about the rules? And they responded to Knive and said, well, it depends on the question. So he thought long and hard and asked the question, how many inks are you allowed in your deck? And they responded.
Well, what did they say? Can I give you a guess?
You may guess.
So I'm going off of, I think it's T. Wright Lorcana. He makes, they make videos about Lorcana, and he did one right at the start when the promo video for Lorcana came out during D23. And I was quite convinced by what he said, because he said there's 3 colours of ink in each deck, and he based that on the fact that the person in the promo video has a backpack where they keep their Lorcana stuff, and it has 3 colours on it.
Okay, so that's a very good theory.
Yeah, from your response, I'm guessing that it's not right.
No. So the video that Knife put out, he said he's going to put out another video. Go and watch it. It's great. I don't know if you guys, if listeners have seen Knife's videos, but they're all kind of, they're kind of simple animation style. He's got loads of jokes in. It's really well produced. Great, great bit of content. But he said he's going to put out more content, a longer video discussing it. But when they got back to him, they said it would be 2 inks.
2 inks in each deck. Okay, so 2 colours. That probably means 2 inks.
Yes, 2 colours of ink. Yeah.
And I'm sorry to ask this, Simeon, but I've fallen for this kind of thing before. How have you verified this piece of news?
Well, okay, no. First of all, I haven't. I did see the tweet.
Yeah, you haven't fallen for stuff before. Yeah, fair enough.
No. So I did see the tweet that said, from Disney Lorcana account to Knife saying.
Oh, so there's a tweet, so it's not just a video, there's a live tweet.
No. Well, there's a tweet.
No, there's not. Okay.
There's a tweet from the official account saying, well, ask us a question and we'll see what we can answer.
Happens. Yeah, see what's
the other thing is that I'm really skeptical, because I work with a load of social media and marketing people in my day job, and they know a lot about the strategy for the company, but not everything. And I wonder whether the person responding to the... I don't want to... No, once again, no shade on Knife. Seems to be doing a great job, and I don't think this is him trolling us. I think that Knife genuinely believes this is correct. But this... It might be a rule, but it also sounds like a rule that could be bent, if you see what I mean.
I think it's probably pretty... likely, if that's the response, it's pretty likely that there will be 2 colour decks, and that will be an option.
Well, so this is the thing. Yeah, so I wonder whether the marketing person has seen mock-ups of the starter decks, and the starter decks are all 2 colour.
Yeah, because that's often the case in these collectible card games, trading card games, is that starter decks have 2 colours, isn't it? So that could be what it is.
But rather than
it being a rule. Yeah. But it could be a rule. It would be a...
Oh, yeah, no.
Quite a restrictive rule, I think, but maybe not.
I mean, Knife has been very active on the forums. Seems like I genuinely believe that Knife thinks that this is definitely the case. And I've got no reason to doubt that.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a rule. I mean, the other thing is, though, it could be a rule, but also it could be a rule that is relevant for the first few sets and then is changed, because there are rules that are the actual mechanics of the games, and then there are rules that are easy to house rule, like when like in Magic the Gathering, you're allowed any number of colors in your deck unless you play Commander, and then there's restrictions.
Yeah.
Or people make up formats and make up house rules themselves. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if in particular for just like kitchen table casual things, if that was a rule that a lot of people were like, oh, I've brought my 4-color deck along, is that okay? And people are like, yeah, sure, great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
that's the actual the news. Is this has been put out there? I have no reason to disbelieve it, but at the same time, you're totally right.
If you'd had that opportunity, Simeon,
verified.
to ask Disney Lorcana a question about the rules,
this is a great
what
question.
would you have asked them?
The problem is, if you're asked a question like that by a social media manager, you've got to ask something very specific. Because if I ask something like, how does the resource system work? Because that seems to be the biggest question.
Yeah.
Then they're not going to go, oh, it's this and this and this. And there's a lot of other things that we've been able to deduce. So, I mean, kudos to Nye for thinking of a good question.
Yeah, but what about the symbols in the bottom right of the card?
Yeah, there you go. That's the best question there. Well, what are the symbols in the bottom? Or
I presume that law symbols.
specific.
I've gone through that before. I'm not going to go over it again. But that's all.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. They could come back with that, couldn't they? Oh, yeah. Those count the law you've gained, and it's like, damn, well, that doesn't tell me anything. Oh, amazing. So that was the actual real news. The other thing that I just wanted to mention is that now that there appears to have been a social media person put onto Lorcana, probably by Ravensburger media team. They are tweeting regularly. They've let us know that there will be some news before Christmas and that the rules will be available from spring onwards.
So that's the exciting moment when the rules become available, isn't it? That's the real...
that's when we can actually start getting excited about this and actually start looking into things. So springtime will be the big reveals, I think. I imagine that we might see maybe some other artwork or perhaps even a card or two before Christmas, because they have said that there will be more news before Christmas. But I'm imagining that it'll be springtime will be the big reveals.
So tell me if I'm going off track, but if I was Lorcana, if I was Ravensburger, and it got to this point where there was like a big rush around D23, and then it's kind of just petered out, and there's some really, really loyal followers that are tweeting every day about Lorcana and following up with Ravensburger all the time about, do we have any news yet? That said, it's quite a small number of people, at least from what I've seen in the groups and things. It's a handful of people that are keeping these conversations going. Even
the broader groups, we're talking about members of groups interested in this. We're talking about dozens of active members, and maybe how many people are in the main Discord? Like 1,000?
1,000 or two, something like that. Yeah. So even in those groups, it's a few voices, which you'd expect in any group. It's a few voices keeping the conversation alive. And if I was Ravensburger now, I would want to have a really clear ramping up strategy to launch of how they're going to gradually build up interest, because it's died out, and I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to push little. Well, maybe I would want to push little tidbits, but it feels like they're hitting the wrong audience if they're feeding this audience that's already really into it and still talking about it.
Exactly. Yeah. If I was sat in a Ravensburger office, I wouldn't. Like, don't get me wrong, it would be nice to know that there were people super excited for the game. However, I wouldn't be that interested in engaging with the smaller content creators and all of that at this moment in time, simply because they could reach out for a partnership with some of the biggest trading card game content creators. If they wanted some more eyeballs on their game, then engaging with, for example, a podcast like ours with, listens in the hundreds, not in the thousands. Why would they do that when they could engage with, trading card game YouTube videos that literally get, hundreds of thousands of views?
Yeah.
So I think that would be their strategy, or that must be their strategy. Now, that said, it doesn't cost them anything to also engage with us.
It does, because what they will do by engaging it with us is release information, and information, that's their currency right now. When they've run out of that, there's nothing more to say, is there?
Oh, definitely, but they can slice it in such a way.
Okay,
so when you see a big set release for a different trading card game, they will give different content creators cards, individual cards to reveal.
Yeah. Well, let me just say they need to slice it better because they should know their audience right now is people who are really interested and have dissected this stuff inside out. That is the audience at the moment. And so they need to... Yeah. They're not doing a great job. I mean, they're keeping a conversation going, but the kind of stuff they're releasing is kind of stuff that's either already been worked out or already said, other than this thing about 2 inks per deck.
I don't think they want to engage a mass audience yet.
Yeah.
Because let's say they engage a mass audience, that audience has lost interest in...
Yeah, that's what I mean. They've got to ramp up to a mass audience. But yeah, so my question is, why would they even want to engage the audience that's there? I don't know. I mean, I'm happy if they do, because it gives us stuff to talk about. But I'm just feeling like...
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that they've got a social media. They've
That's
obviously
true.
put
And it's a good sign.
Media.
It's a good sign, yeah.
Yeah. But that said, loads of people have been saying that, people have lost interest, so therefore the game will fail. And I'm like, no, like literally, I don't think they're interested in engaging with the general public yet. Simply because, why would they? They're not selling anything.
Ravensburger have launched so many products and so many Disney products, and they're going to have tested different launch strategies. That's what I would do if I was in their position anyway. And they're going to know what kind of touch points and what kind of lead up time is the ideal time to ramp up the maximum interest for when it launches. They're going to know that.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. Shall we move to the main topic?
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
Brilliant.
I'm quite excited for this.
Amazing. So what we wanted to do today is talk about what you can do while you wait for Lorcana to launch.
Awesome law news, all the rules in the spring. While you wait, and wait for anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, while you're waiting, here are some things to do. So we're going to recommend some games. We're going to look at some content by other people. We're going to look at some collecting stuff. And we're also going to look... Oh, what's the last thing? Oh, yeah, got some different recommendations for other podcasts and things like that. So shall we start with the thing? Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you're interested in games. So, David, what should I play while I wait for Lorcana?
Most of the time here, we're answering what we're playing, which is why I said it's a way of getting to know us as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
and we're talking
definitely
about what we're playing that has a tangential link to Lorcana in some way. So one of the games that I'm playing a lot, and have been playing a lot for just over a year now, is Marvel Champions. And that is I think it's called a living card game or a collectible card game. So it comes in the Disney universe anyway, and it's about, you collect different cards of the superheroes in the Marvel universe, and then you work together. So you can either do it yourself, you can be a hero and trying to defeat some villains, or you can work together with friends. I've played it with you a couple of times to try and defeat some of the Marvel villains.
So this is a collaborative
if you're into
game.
Marvel and you like working together, then I think it's a really good game.
You know, when we played it together, I've really enjoyed it. The thing that I really like about this particular card game, because there is a lot of kind of, in particular with living card games. So is this one of the ones that's produced by Fantasy Flight? Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so in particular with a lot of their card games, I feel like there's a lot of stuff to buy. Whereas, because this is collaborative, as in the gameplay itself is collaborative, you don't necessarily need to optimize to play the game. You can just play the game with whatever you've got. And the other thing that I really liked about it is that there are card packs for each superhero. So if I really, really wanted to play... I don't know.
Rogue, wasn't it? Rogue?
Oh, yes, Rogue was my teenage years. Rogue and Gambit off of the X-Men. If I wanted to play one of them, I could just go into the card shop, pick up just the Rogue pack, that deck of cards, and then go around David's and play, and never have to pick up any other cards. That's a complete experience in itself.
Yeah, for a long time, I just had the base set. And I've only picked up a couple of other superheroes. There are dozens of them now, and I've got a friend who have literally collected everything, and I love going around here and choosing different ones to play.
Amazing.
And there's campaigns as well, so you can. It's a really in-depth game if you really want to get into it, and there's a lot to collect. Yeah, and I think the other thing you said about it is you don't normally. Correct me if I'm wrong, Simeon, but when we've played co-ops of games in the past, you've been like, I'm not sure there's a real challenge here. Whereas with this game, you said it felt more like playing a card game against a opponent, although you're playing an somewhat automated villain. The way it's set up, it kind of catches you by surprise.
I guess that's totally it. That's it. That's the point. Is that a lot of collaborative games. It's not that I don't like collaborative games. It's that a lot of the collaborative games feel like the group is either winning or losing very early on, and continues to do so. So I know there are lots of fans of Pandemic. I didn't really enjoy that game much. It felt very much like by halfway through the game, you knew if you had won or lost. And there wasn't a lot you could do to change the outcome of the game, but from the halfway mark in. What's the other one we played? Dawn of the Peacemakers?
Oh, yeah, that's not such a popular one, but yeah, it seemed like a really fun concept, didn't it? It's like, it's a war game where you're trying to stop the war.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say it's a very good concept, and even the first few games I found interesting, but at the same time, you do get to that position where you kind of feel like, well, if I'm not winning and I'm also there's not much I can do, then I'm not going to have that much fun. Whereas, sorry, I'll actually talk about the thing we're talking about, which is Marvel Champions. Because so halfway through the game, there will, or not necessarily halfway through, at certain points in the game, there are cataclysmic events. Either the villain gets stronger or something else happens, and you have to kind of readjust, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels great because it does feel like, this could go either way until right at the end. I mean, and it's also very well balanced. That's another point.
Yeah. And every game I've played, it's not until, like, it's a crescendo build-up, and then it's not until, if you're going to win, you don't, like, know that for ages. It's not just before you've won, you know you've won. Yeah. I
mean, it probably helps that I think I've played 2 full games of it, and we won both of them. So that probably helps my enjoyment level.
Yeah, but there's different difficulty levels too, because some people love to be punished by collaborative games. They love that puzzle. I'm not that person. I love to win.
No, me neither. Yeah.
I want to play again. If I've won, if it's felt like, I won, but I only just got there, and that was really exciting, that's what draws me back in. Whereas if something just keeps punishing me, that pushes me away. So I think they've got that part of the design really well, because I play on the standard difficulty, and that works well for me. But there are more expert difficulties and other villains that are harder to play against that you can put in if you enjoy being punished.
Yeah, but also if a game's good, you should enjoy it whether you're winning or losing.
Don't tell me. No, that's not true, Simeon.
Not
for me. I need to win.
Brilliant. Sure. So I've also been playing a Marvel game.
Yep. Tell me more.
I've been playing a totally different Marvel game, but also with cards, but on a tiny little screen. I've been playing the phone game, Marvel Snap.
Oh, everyone's talking about Marvel Snap, and I have watched one video about it when it came out, and it looked pretty interesting, but I just haven't got around to downloading it or trying it. So tell me more.
So I would say, as a preface to anybody, yourself included, if you're going to download it, no, this is quite an addictive thing. The games only take like 2 or 3 minutes each game. So you're playing against real human beings across the world, and each game is super quick. Mm-hmm. But because of that, it's really easy to press that, play again button. So just to give you guys an overview
it gives you mini
haven't...
dopamine hits, and you just can't get away.
This is totally lined up on dopamine. And it's even to the point where sometimes I'll be playing and I'm just like, why am I even playing this? You know, like when you're scrolling through social media and like, why am I even doing this? Which I don't really find with other games. So yes, it's very cleverly designed to hit all of the dopamine triggers. However, it is also a really good game. So the game itself, you build a deck with only 12 cards. So the
That's
deck that you're
cool.
playing with only has 12 cards. You play over 6 turns. It's almost always 6 turns that you play over. And usually you're only playing 1 or 2 cards. So it means each turn. So it means that your 12 card deck, you see most of the cards most of the time, but you see them in a random order. It's got, there's quite a lot of consistency to the decks that you can build. I won't go into the rules and how it's played and all of this thing, but just know that it's not the child's game Snap. It is an actual strategic game. But also the other thing that's really interesting about it is that when you play a game against another real human being, you kind of, the economy of the game works on these little blue cubes, and you wager one of those to when you play. And then you can either double your wager if you think you're going to win, or you can retreat and say, no, I won't finish the game, I'll just lose my 1 cube. But if you both double, obviously you end up with 8 cubes, so it can be really swingy. So there's a game in the card game itself, which has a really high element of random elements. There's a lot of things which just happen, or cards that do really wacky things. But if at any point you think, no, I'm definitely losing, you can just back out of the game. So I'd say roughly half of the games.
Even though it's a 2 to 3 minute game, you can just walk away if you want to. And
that's the way to climb
won't feel
the
hard
ladder.
done by because they get something out of you walking away.
Yeah. Well, when I started playing, I found that really annoying. I was like, oh no, I want to play the game to completion whether or not I win or lose.
Yeah.
But that's not the way to climb the ladder, to climb the kind of experience tree thing in the game.
You want to get as many games as you can in and be a good judge of when you're winning and when you're not.
You not only need to be good at the game, you also need to be good at guessing whether you're going to, or estimating whether you're ahead or not, as to whether to double your wager or back out.
That's straight out of backgammon. I've never played backgammon. I have played backgammon, but not with the doubling cube. But that's straight out of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like the doubling cube in backgammon, only because it's not money, it's little blue cubes, and you can't buy the little blue cubes. So
So what can you buy? How do they make the money?
Well, this is the thing. Yeah. So as with every single digital card game I've ever played, the economy is not great. So firstly, you can't buy cards. So I think they see this as a massive benefit that it's not pay to win. You can't just buy the good deck. You have to earn the cards by playing. And that's kind of good, but it does mean that you end up with a lot of kind of half decks, or you see decks that you want to play, but you haven't got the cards yet, which means you've got to play it more to get the cards that you want.
Yeah.
So I'm not enjoying that element of it. And then the other thing is that they give you gold and little blue cubes, and there's a ladder, and there are different experience counters, and there are different tokens of different things. It's one of these games where there's like maybe half a dozen different ecosystems, ecosystems within the same economy. And it's really annoying to upgrade your cards and to get new decks. You can spend as long doing that as you could do playing the game. And that's not the bit that I find enjoyable. The bit I find enjoyable is the 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes playing against somebody else. So I think they need to improve that. I think it's worked for the launch. For the launch, everybody having a really shallow slope to get into it has really worked. I would like to see them change that so that either you can just get the cards you want to play the decks that you want to play, or at least some way to engage in it. So
do you mean there's literally you would hope that there's a store where you can just choose the cards you want, because that would be quite unusual for a collectible card game, wouldn't it? Because normally you open a pack and see what you get, even on digital ones.
On digital ones, yes, you could, but there's not even that. There's not even I want some more cards, so I'll go buy some more cards.
Yeah.
There's just you have progressed this far. We have given you if you progress another 4 steps on this ladder, then you'll get another one random card.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness. So it is really difficult to kind of recommend for the economy, but the gameplay's brilliant.
So I've got a question, and I think you've implicitly answered this in how you've talked about the game. But one of the things I find with card game apps is some of them work really well on a small mobile screen and some of them don't. So how is it on a mobile screen?
Oh, it's really, really good. So I don't like big phones, so I've got the iPhone mini. I can't remember which one it is.
You've got a
12. It's not a new
smallish
one.
phone.
I've
That's what
got
you're
a
saying.
small phone. It's a small screen, and it works really well. The most cards ever displayed on the screen is 12 or something. And if you tap on any one of them, the full size version pops up full screen, and it's super quick as well. It's not, it's not like, oh, click, wait, loading, oh, there it is. It's like a native app. They've obviously put a lot of work into making it quick and snappy.
Yeah, that's good to hear. They've really thought about a lot of different aspects of it by the sounds of it. You've convinced me to download it anyway. I'm going to give it a try.
Oh yeah, give it a go. Yeah, I totally recommend it. Even if it's just for a few games, if you play 2 or 3 hours of it, you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
And then if you're still enjoying it, then there's other stuff to do. Okay, there's one thing that I want, before we move on to another topic, there's one other thing under what to play that I want to ask you about, because you've built a new Magic the Gathering deck based around Disney.
I'm working on it, yeah. So we've been trying not to talk about Magic the Gathering, but we do talk about it because we can't help it.
Oh, yeah, we play it. We play a lot of Magic the Gathering, guys. Yeah.
And so the version of Magic the Gathering that you and I and our friends mostly play is called Commander. And that's when you have a deck of 100 cards, and most, other than the resource cards, which are called lands, all the other cards need to be unique. So you have about 60 or 70 cards that are completely different that you've picked out to build this deck. And then you play it against other people. And for me, as fun as it is playing it, and I love playing it, it's just as fun building decks, and I probably spend a lot more time thinking about decks and building decks. So I have built a Disney theme one. I wonder, I haven't prepped for talking about it that much. So shall we do a mini episode about that if people are interested in it? Shall we see what people say about that?
Oh,
so
yeah, sure, brilliant.
The Commander,
give us the highlights, though. Give us the highlights.
Lulu Hollyphant, so it's like a little flying elephant. So the Commander I'm saying is Dumbo.
Brilliant.
Lulu Hollyphant is a type of, normally you have one commander, but Lulu Hollyphant is a type of commander where you have what's called a background that's a kind of partner that is also a commander. And I'm trying to think what my background is called, but I think it's Cloakwood Hermit. And I'm saying Cloakwood Hermit is a she, and that is Gisela from Enchanted, because Cloakwood Hermit makes squirrels in the woodlands, and Gisela at the beginning of Enchanted lives in the woodlands with lots of small animals. So that's what I'm saying that is.
Beautiful.
So that's what I've done. I've looked through Magic the Gathering cards that could represent a Disney character, and some of them really obviously do represent something from a Disney story, because there are fairy tale themed Magic the Gathering cards, and obviously many Disney movies are themed on fairy tales. So there is actually quite a lot of overlap without having to try too hard. But then some of the stuff you have to think a bit more about and think, how does this connect with Disney? So it's quite a fun thing to have been doing.
No. So I've played against it once, and it was really fun, because obviously every card you played, you were like, this is this. Oh, and that represents. Yeah. There was a little robot.
I was at that point, and still am to an extent, waiting for some cards to arrive, so it'll be even more Disney-fied next time we play it.
Amazing. Great. Okay. Right, we've got to move on. So, while we are waiting for Lorcana to launch, what are you going to be watching, or what have you been watching?
I was really hoping Beck would be here for this discussion, because she is so into Disney and she'd have so much to say. But what I have been watching, some classic Disney, and particularly the ones related to the characters. So I've watched Brave Little Tailor, which I never watched before, and I did really enjoy it. It's like 9 minutes of your life. Like, pretty much anyone can find 9 minutes. And if you're into Lorcana, it's definitely worth a watch. And I think it would be fun one time, if we're still struggling for content, to watch it together and then do a little episode around, well, which characters out of Brave Little Tailor might end up in the first set of Lorcana. I think that would be a fun speculation thing to do. Yeah,
that would be great. What's been the standout? What's been the standout of the vintage Disney you've watched?
That's it. Well, I've watched that, and because I fell for the whole thing of the sorcerer Mickey. I thought, there's going to be a sorcerer Mickey, and I fell for that card, which I still think there probably will be at some point, or definitely will be at some point, if not in the first set. So I watched Fantasia. And I really enjoyed that too. What's been the standout for me out of that has not actually been either of those, but then there's a Mickey Mouse series created in I think in 2017, so it's really recent, but it's kind of got that classic aesthetic, and the episodes are like 4 minutes, and they're always really funny and really witty and really humorous, and I enjoy watching them in and of themselves, and then I enjoy watching them because I think there's so much stuff in here that could end up in Lorcana, and that makes me really excited as well. So I'm not great at sitting down to watch a whole movie. Finding an hour and a half to sit down and do that, I would love to be able to, but it's partly that I don't have the focus, but sitting down to watch something for 4 minutes, I can do that. So that works for me.
Amazing. Great. So what's the series called?
I think it's literally called Mickey Mouse.
Oh, great. Okay.
Or something like that.
I sat down. When I first got into these, I was like, right, I'm going to watch some classic Disney movies that I haven't watched. And I went on Disney Plus and scrolled through the old movies that they've got there and thought, oh, The Black Cauldron, that looks really interesting. And I haven't watched that. That was, I only watched the first 20 minutes and I switched it off because it was just very slow. I'm sure it's a beautiful movie and it will be a lot of people's favorite childhood movie because of the memories. Yeah. But it's not aged as well as some of the other stuff.
Yeah. The nice thing about Fantasia I found is you can have that in the background because it is a kind of background movie. It's kind of just like a bit psychedelic, and it's got nice music, and it's just you have it on and while you're doing something else. It's not, and if you want to sit and watch it, if something grabs you, you can sit and watch that little story because there's lots of small stories within the bigger narrative. Yeah. What about you, Simeon? What have you been watching?
I've been watching on Disney Plus. I've been watching Andor, which is the new Star Wars series. Have you seen any of it?
I don't even know what it's about. It's the new what series? I missed what you said just then.
Oh, sorry. It's the new Star Wars series.
The new Star Wars series. No, I haven't seen it.
So there was a movie that was a prequel to the original movies called Rogue One a few years back. And one of the characters from that was called Cassian Andor and was really interesting. But because of I don't want to spoil the music, but the movie, but because of the way the movie works, he was never going to come back. So they did a prequel to the prequel.
The prequel to the prequel. But this is even more confusing because by a prequel to the original movies, you mean it's between movie 3 and movie 4, don't you? Is that right? Or I misunderstood that.
So Rogue One is a prequel to A New Hope.
Episode 4, which is the first movie.
Episode 4, which is
if you're not into Star Wars, it's so confusing. I didn't get into Star Wars until I was in my 30s, I think, and it took me a while to get my head around it all. But once you're into it, it's like, wow, it blows your mind. But yeah. Yeah,
but anyway, Andor is just incredible. The acting is incredible. The script is amazing. I would say that it's not just a good Star Wars movie, because obviously, I think people are like, if you're like, oh, you like Star Wars, yeah, of course you're going to like it. But it was created by Tony Gilroy, who's the same guy that did, I think it's the same guy that did the Bourne Identity in those movies. So it's like proper action thriller kind of psychological thriller kind of guy. And it is so tense the whole way through. I was just on the edge of my sofa the whole way through. It's 12 episodes. It's 12 episodes, but it's kind of like 3 different story arcs within those episodes, all linked up.
And is that a resolution at the end of the 12, or is that a cliffhanger, or would you be spoiling it if you told me that?
This is series 1 of 2, so it's all being written.
So there will be another season.
So there will be one other season of it that will lead directly into Rogue One.
Cool.
But it's just incredible. It's not just good for Star Wars, it's good on any level. I'd say it's probably, I don't know.
So if someone's never watched anything Star Wars before, they could watch this and enjoy it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It might be even better than The Mandalorian, which has been, so popular.
Yeah.
But so good, such a great series. I can't say enough about it. But yeah, so just switch on and watch it. I'm not going to do any spoilers. I'm not going to tell you any. Just switch it on, watch it. If you think it's slow, wait till episode 4, commit to episode 4, and you're in for a treat.
Cool. Can I talk about one more thing? You've convinced me to watch Andor now, and I'm going to need to find the time. One more thing to watch, and it seems like a really outlandish pick. It seems like a bit of a curveball. The thing, but I watched it, it's 20 episodes, and I watched it within a week, and that's really, really rare for me. And it's
amazing. Okay.
So the Disney connection is that it's on Disney Plus, and it's also got a Wales connection, and we're in Wales because it's called Welcome to Wrexham, and Wrexham's a city in Wales.
Is this the football club thing with?
It's about Ryan Reynolds. And the way it connects to collectible card games is like Ryan Reynolds isn't collecting card games and finding the best cards. He's collecting a football team and finding the best football players. It's so much fun.
He's really not finding the best football players, though, is he?
Well, that's...
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
So
Maybe
what's really... what's
it's a
interesting
non-league
about...
club, right?
Sorry, we're both talking. You go.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's a non-league club, right? Like, we're not talking
It's a
about... people who are watching...
Wrexham has a glorious history of football, and they've... So Ryan Reynolds has bought the football team with a lesser-known celebrity, and this is part of the ongoing joke in the series, called Rob McElhenney. I think he's famous in the US, but I'd never heard of him.
What do you mean you think he's famous? He was in Only Sunny in Philadelphia,
okay,
and he was also
famous.
in Mythic Quest. Mythic Quest is another series. Oh, he's such a funny guy. I love it.
He's hilarious. So it was Rob McElhenney that was the one who was like, I want to do this, and then he phoned up Ryan Reynolds and got Ryan Reynolds to join him. And the reason he got into it is because he has one of his writers is British, and this writer told him about how football or soccer works in the UK, that the teams can go up and down leagues. And I just assume that's true of any sport anywhere in the world, but apparently not. And they were really interested in this concept of a team can like win the top cup in English football or British football and then end up a few years later like out of the leagues and a non-professional club if they do badly. And that's kind of over a period of time. I don't think Wrexham's ever been a top club, but it went from a club that was quite auspicious to really like it's you're right, it's out of the leagues at the minute. It's what's called a non-league club. So the challenge of it, and I'm going to connect it to collectible card games as well, is like the politics of that. So then you're like, they're not getting the best players. So then it's the question of, well, how do you convince good players that are going to get you up the leagues and a good manager to come to a no-hoper club? And I'm not saying that in a rude way. That's like where they're at in the start of the series. And I think even a lot of their fans would talk about them in that way at the start. It's like, and that's like what's so interesting about it. So how do they find those players? How do they sign them? How do they get them in? And then how do they perform when they're in? Yeah, and does it work if you just kind of throw money at a thing? And basically, I don't think they're throwing endless money at it. At the minute, they're operating on a loss of about $1 million a year, I think they said. Which to me, if that's your hobby and you're a multi-millionaire, that seems quite reasonable.
I mean, sure. How much? Well, here's the real question: is how much is the TV show going to make for them?
Yeah, that's the thing. It is a TV. And what's amazing about the TV show is it's quite rare to see Wales represented on an international stage. And so they're doing a lot of cultural translations as well as literal translations like Welsh to English. There's a lot of cultural translations going on through the series. But then it's also about the community and about them getting buy-in from the community as well. And then and then they've been really careful and engaging in the characters they've chosen from Wrexham to follow through the series. The different football supporters, they've chosen them really carefully to give you a good tug on the heartstrings as well.
Okay, I'll give it a watch. I can't promise I'll watch all 20
if you're not into
episodes in a week.
football, like
I'll give it a watch.
As a teenager, I was obsessed with football, so that was probably my hook. But it's like a Wales thing, so you might get the Wales pride thing going on. We're not Welsh.
I mean, I also... Yeah, Rob, how do you pronounce his surname?
I don't know. I said Rob McElhenney. Is that not it?
Yeah, anyway, so he is so hilarious. I'd watch it just for him. And they're two very attractive men. Very easy on the eye to watch. Yeah,
that's true. Easy on the eye, easy on life. And spoiler, I'm going to give you a spoiler. You get to hear Ryan Reynolds doing a pee because he forgets to switch off his mic at some point. And they put that in. So that's...
I'm glad that was such a treat for you, David.
Significant moment in my life.
Okay, so we've talked before about we've got notes for the episodes, and on these notes you've put what to collect. But I don't. I collect a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't like. I'm a reluctant collector. In that I just find myself with a load of stuff and go, oh my goodness, how did this happen? So
whereas I'm a completionist. So if I start collecting something, I really struggle unless I've got all the things.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about, David?
That's a huge issue with some things like Magic the Gathering, because unless you're a multi-millionaire, you're never going to get all the things. And even then, there'll be some things that you just can't get because there's only one of them.
Yeah.
What did you just ask me?
Oh, I was just trying to say, what things were you going to talk about?
What things are we going to talk about collecting?
What are you going to pitch to our listeners?
As everyone who's listened to the Mickey card episode knows, I'm into the collecting side of this as well. So it's a trading card game, a collectible card game, and the collecting side of it is going to be somewhat significant for me. That's going to be important to me too. And so I've been like, well, what could I collect in the meantime? Because it's not enough for me to wait till it comes out. I need to be collecting other stuff already. So I've been looking at like what Disney trading cards are out there and what other Disney stuff's out there that could be collected. I wish I was there with you in person, Simeon, and I wish Beck was here too, because I have got both of you a gift, and it's quite an exciting gift. It wasn't expensive.
You didn't post it to me.
It wasn't expensive. Well, I didn't know. I was meant to be coming to your house, and then something happened today, so I couldn't. So I was going to bring it. It's not that you... Although something happened, and also the roads are covered in ice, so it's probably best that I'm not driving to your house.
Oh, no. It's really not... It's not safe out there.
No. So I've got you a Brave Little Tailor card, but not the Lorcana one. It's from...
I was going to say, please don't buy... please don't spend 400 or 500 quid on me. I would feel I'd have to return the favour somehow.
It cost me about £1, maybe £1.50. It's been a while since I bought it. I can't remember. So it's a Brave Little Tailor card from what's called the Impel. That was the publisher who produced the cards. They produced these in the early 90s, I think in 1991.
Oh, right,
and they produced a set of 200 cards mainly about classic Disney. So it's mainly about Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Goofy and characters like that, Pluto. And I think it's a really fun thing to collect because the cards you can get for about under a pound, well, most of them are under £1. None of them are really expensive. And if you want to buy the whole set and you're in the US, which sadly we're not, but if you're in the US, you can pick up the whole set for like $20 or $30. Like people have collected it and then they're just selling it on. So I just think it's a really fun thing to have if you're into Disney. And with Lorcana coming out, I can only see interest in this kind of thing going up. So if you buy things for the potential of future value, in terms of trading cards, it's not a big investment at the minute. And who knows where it could go. And it's a kind of fun precursor to collecting Lorcana. So I think that's really fun.
Yeah, so when I was a tiny little child, I used to collect do you remember the Fleer cards? And they had an X-Men series. They had 2 X-Men series of Fleer cards.
I don't remember these, no. I collected Panini football stickers, but I don't remember any others.
Yeah, so I've looked at those since now, and yeah, again, I think there's like 300 cards in the set, and most of them are under £1. So yeah, looking at old trading card games and going, that I could totally get into collecting those. I think what I'd want to do is, if I was a bit more active at like car boot sales or things like that, is find lots like that and try and piece it together rather than, do you know what I mean? Buying online, it seems a little bit too easy. Like,
especially when you can just pick up the whole set. What's cool is if you spend £40, you can buy a box of the cards from this Impel set, and so you get to
they've still got sealed boxes.
Sealed boxes, yeah.
Oh my goodness, for £40, did you say?
I think they're 40 or 45. This was a couple of months ago, so I don't know where they're at now, but I don't imagine they've spiked since then.
Well, they will, since thousands of people listening to our podcast are going to be picking them up, aren't they?
All those listeners, pick one up now, Simeon. We're going to spike the market. Is this even legal to do this?
Well, yeah, because you've just bought them and now you're going to spike the market. No, I don't think. I don't think our current listener numbers count as spiking a market. No, not a thing. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the Impel set. So that's IMPEL, and you can just put Impel Disney into Google or into eBay and find those kind of cards. There are also, I found a local seller that sells them cheaper than on eBay. But even on eBay, they're like £1 each. So
nice.
$1 each.
Next time I see you, you can bring the card, and I'll decide whether this is the future of collecting for me.
I think they're really nice cards. I really like them anyway. And then another one that I've not collected, I tried to pick up one, but I found this one harder to find. So there is, Disney's done a trading/collectible card game that you can only play if you go to Disneyland. I didn't realise they'd done that. I didn't know they'd done that until I found this out. It's called
Amazing. Okay.
Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. And if you go to this attraction I think it's in Disneyland, Florida, but don't quote me on that, maybe California. It's one of them in the US anyway. And if you go to that attraction, you get a card. And so there's, I think, 100, 120 of them to collect. And so some people have set their heart on collecting all of these. And most of them, okay, I'm now going to go back on myself and say I think there's 90. And I think like the first 80 are really, really common. So you can get those really, really cheaply. And then the final 10 are really rare. Not rare as in magic card rare, but they're like between £10 and £30 each to get that final 10.
That's still if that's the thing that you collect over over a long period of time, though, that's reasonable. Though,
if you're into Disney trading cards and that's your thing to collect, like. I mean, to be honest, everything I've looked at in terms of what to collect around Disney, because I watch some Lorcana channels and they're just like, wait till you see how Disney collectors feel about collecting, which is maybe true. There's lots of people that collect Disney stuff. Yeah. But Lorcana cards are like the same price as Walt Disney signatures at the minute. They're like up there with the top thing you can buy.
That's crazy.
It is. So anything else just seems like a bargain in comparison. Like if you look at a huge thing that people collect is Disney pins. And most of those are under £10, but a lot of them are £1, £2. They're like, you can get, if you want to start collecting them, it's a low barrier to entry.
I made a massive faux pas on Twitter, which is for Magic the Gathering, there's a company called Pinfinity that make these really beautiful, like super high-end pins and badges that are... what do they call it? AR enabled, i.e., if you film them with your camera, then you get access to like different downloads, and they come to life if you film them with a smartphone camera. They're really beautiful. Anyway, so Caleb, who's the guy, I think he's the CEO, he's the most vocal person from the company online. I tagged him and said, any chance we'll get Pinfinity pins for Lorcana? Thinking this would be amazing. That would be brilliant. He provided a very diplomatic answer. Like, he'd love to work with Disney. But the amount of people that piled on to say, such and such company already do high-end pins for Disney. Disney make pins for this and pins for that. And I was like, okay, everybody, I'm not a pin connoisseur. I'm sorry. I think
have we got a load of hate followers now, Simeon? Have we got dozens of new followers from your faux pas?
The pin tweet. No. I think it's just that people are like, do you not realise how important Disney pins
is
a
thing? And the Lorcana pin's like $50, which is a lot of money to spend on a little pin badge, right? On the one hand. On the other hand, lots of jewellery that is a pin costs about $50, and if you're really into Lorcana, compared to the price of other Lorcana things at the minute, it seems like a nice thing to get. So.
Oh yeah, a lot of the Pinfinity pins come in sets that are like brand new, are £20, and would probably, as in, are pitched as collector's items. I mean, I don't know what they are after a few years, but I mean, that's the way they're pitched. I can imagine it being very similar. Okay, we've got one last section to cover, and it's going to be a lightning round because we've already been recording for an hour. You might not have listened to an hour of this because I'm going to edit out everything David said that's interesting. So you should.
You always do that, Simeon. I'm like, I listen back and I'm like, what about that thing? I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. I do listen back, but I don't think, what about that thing? All my best things are always in there. So what are you, the last section then, what we're listening to, what are you listening to?
It's what we're listening to. I just wanted to give a quick recommendation for a podcast that when I wrote this, I was like, if people have heard us talk about Magic the Gathering and are curious and want to get into it, this is an amazing podcast for them. However, it's just been announced that they're ending the podcast. One of the content creators has got a job with a different company, and they're bringing this content, in its current guise, in its current form, they're bringing the podcast to an end with their current hosts. And this podcast is The Commander Sphere, which is a podcast with two people, Dan and Rachel, who they talk about Magic the Gathering, but they're both stand-up comedians, so they just goof about Magic the Gathering. They're just making fun of everything. I first got into this podcast because I saw on Twitter that somebody had done a whole episode of a podcast about which mythical creatures from Magic the Gathering you could milk and what the milk would taste like.
Okay. Which one would you milk, Simeon?
That's the pitch. That's the whole podcast. Anyway, I love the podcast. I'm kind of sad that Rachel's going off to join another media company, so she's bringing it to an end. Or with her on it. I don't know if Dan will continue with another person.
I'm going to give a diplomatic thing and say there's lots of content in my life, and this doesn't sound like something that I'm looking to add at the minute, but...
It's so funny, though. It's so funny. Anyway, there's 3 whole seasons of it, so people can still go back and enjoy it. I'm really excited to see what Rachel will do next in her new venture, and I'm also excited to see what Dan will do. So yeah, give them a follow. If the pitch of which mythical creatures would you milk sounds like something you'd enjoy and find hilarious, you give it a listen. If not, just ignore me. That's great. Anyway, the child has an idea as to what you should be doing. So let's have a listen to what the child thinks we should be doing while we wait to Disney Lorcana.
Let's do it.
It's the child.
Yay.
How you doing today, child?
Good.
So, this podcast, we're talking about ideas for what people can do while they wait for Lorcana to launch in fall next year. Autumn. Sorry.
It is autumn.
Yeah, but it's autumn at the moment, but it's not launching till autumn next year.
Oh.
But you had a great idea. Yesterday, I went out, I played a gig, and while I was out, you did something pretty amazing.
What did I do?
Well, that was my question. What did you do?
I made a card game.
Great. Tell me about the card game.
It's about you. It's a bit like Pokemon cards where you like fight the other people, and when you've finished, one person's got 0 skill points left, you count how many kills you've got, and whoever's had the most kills wins.
And you're drawing all the cards for this?
Yeah, I'm drawing.
So yesterday you drew some.
Yeah, and today I've drawn a lot.
Amazing. Yeah, you got loads of these things you're drawing.
At the start, it was like the box was like 1 centimeter full, and now it's like an inch, 10 inches.
It's not 10 inches.
5.
5 inches. Maybe it is 5 inches full of cards.
4.
You keep changing it.
I would say 3 inches.
Well,
and I'm making
2.
more.
Yeah, okay. So, have you really enjoyed this?
Yes.
It seems like a fun project.
Yes, this is what you can do in your spare time whilst you wait.
So, what have you learnt?
I've learnt that you can always try new things, and if it sucks, you could just keep trying and trying, and you never give up.
Oh, great. So you just... Some cards have worked and some cards haven't worked. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Great. So tell me about some of the cards that you've got in the game, some of the characters.
So at the start, I was thinking of making a warrior, which I have made.
Uh-huh.
But when I made the sword, it looked more like an ice cream. So I made him Ice Cream Guy.
Brilliant.
And in this game, you can merge with someone else to make something else. So I made Ice Cream Guy merge with Ice Cream Van to make Ice Cream Driver.
And is that like a super OP card?
Ish. I've made 4 puzzle pieces, which you can find in this set of cards. And when you get them together, it makes God.
It makes who?
God.
Amazing. What's God's special ability?
He doesn't really have a special ability. He just has one move, Destroy. I think it does 300 damage.
Amazing.
I've
Is that
also
a
got-
lot of damage?
Yeah, definitely. I've also got the Sun, which has 200 health and does 200 damage, I think.
As in like the ball of fire in the sky?
Yes, but I might make... It's a bit too OP, so I might make jigsaw pieces for that. I've also got, because it's Christmas is coming up in a few months,
Uh-huh.
I've made Santa, and if you get a sleigh and all the reindeers,
Uh-huh.
you get Santa.
Oh, that sounds great. Right, so I've played it a couple of times already,
Yes,
but
you played it twice with me for the testing.
there have been loads of cards added, so I'm looking forward to playing it again.
And it's also called World Battle.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we didn't didn't say the name. It's called World Battle.
Yes, because World War's already been taken for real life.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing that.
I want to play that, Simeon. That sounds so good. I want to know, have you played it?
I have played it, and yeah, it's fun. It's chaotic. It's swingy. Let's say swingy. I'm not sure how balanced it is, but it's super fun. And also just making your own card game is fun. I used to do it as a kid. I've even done it. I've done it as an adult. I just tried to let's kind of game theory what this would look like, and it's been super fun.
Yeah. If I invented a card game, it would also be super swingy, and it would be designed in a particular way, and that would be for me to win. So I'm all on board for swingy.
Great, really. Amazing. Okay, I have.
Go on.
You carry it well. I wouldn't have said that about you. I don't.
I don't stomp around. I just plot secretly in the background of how I can win next time.
Amazing. Okay, shall we do some listener questions off of the Twitters?
Let's do it.
Brilliant. Andy D. Mattia says, glad you're feeling well. I wanted to ask if you have heard or seen anything about the competitive side of this game. I've asked Disney Lorcana on Insta, but it might be too soon to tell. Thank you and look forward to the new episode. So I think we have seen that. David, have we seen anything about a competitive play of Lorcana?
Yeah, they've said that there will be something like that. I can't remember. It was right in the early press release. They hinted towards that there'll be what I call organised play rather than competitive play, but that's
yes.
often the same thing.
That's it. So Andy, take a look at the early press releases, and they've said that there will be organised play. I really hope that local game stores pick it up, because I think it could really add to that kind of ecosystem.
It would be I think it's a different audience, isn't it, than it'd be interesting, isn't it, whether that picks up in local game stores, because I still see this as a really family game, and if I go to my local game store around here, it's very much a collectible card games Magic the Gathering game store. That seems to be what it's about, or kind of Warhammer kind of stuff and that kind of thing, and that tends to be adults playing together, and
you're right.
It's not like families. Whereas there are some other board game shops that I go to that are like board game cafes, and they're much more full of families. I wonder if this could be a way for shops that are focused more on the collectible card game side of things to expand their demographic, or for the shops that bring in families because of board games to reach out and start thinking about collectible card games.
I think that would be I think it will add to it. It's not. I don't think having a Lorcana night would cannibalize anything else that's already happening there. So I think shops will get on board.
Do you think that this is going to be the success or failure of Lorcana as to whether it's adopted by local game stores and they organise events around it?
I don't think there's one thing. I think there are lots of things that could help. I think local game stores supporting it are always going to help. I think having some form of online play relatively soon would help. I think making it accessible and having at least starter products and things in game stores that people can just pick up, and in toy shops, not just in game stores, but in kind of kids' places as well.
Yeah, I nearly did a spontaneous video in my local supermarket when I was doing a food shop. But I didn't know if I'd get kicked out for being a content creator in a private space.
Just do it anyway, David. Do it anyway.
On their magazine aisle, I should do it anyway.
Yes.
On their magazine aisle, and maybe I just didn't notice this before because I wasn't into collecting cards, but there's so many different cards that are just in the local supermarket that you can pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Magic the Gathering isn't there. Pokemon is, but Magic the Gathering isn't. But I can totally see them putting Disney Lorcana there. I could totally see that.
But in the UK, in the UK at least, you can go into any newsagents and they will stock the Games Workshop Warhammer magazine White Dwarf. And also at the moment, there's a collectible card, just collectible cards for Warhammer 40k that's in supermarkets.
Yeah. And
there's obviously,
I can't get my head around that.
Things.
I can't get around that they don't stock Magic, but they do stock trading cards related to. I mean, it's not completely obscure, but a relatively obscure war game. I don't get it. But
I think there are more. I think that in the UK there are a lot more ex-Games Workshop.
Yeah, it was a huge thing in the
90s,
wasn't it?
Yeah. Whereas, so I think the people that are buying that are, People our age, David. People our age. Okay, we got to move on. We've got so many questions. Todd Derbyshire just posted a screenshot. No question, just a screenshot, but it is of an article that Alan Jones had posted on a Facebook group. This is getting too meta. Anyway, it's of a YouTube video. Then the title of the YouTube video is Bob Iger makes swift moves following his return to Disney. Top execs fired. Plans for new structure.
Ooh.
So I'm assuming that what he's asking for comments on is the other half of my the comment on the Facebook post says the other half of my reason for the vote of no confidence in Lorcana, it might not even be made because Bob Iger at Disney is firing executives apparently.
Interesting.
Do you have a reaction to that?
Do I have a response to that? I don't.
Yeah, well, it was just, me neither. Todd, thanks very much for the comment. However, I just don't, I don't know. I don't know enough about Disney. I definitely don't think that the CEO, or is that who he is? Bob Iger's the new CEO of Disney or something? I don't think people at that level are making product
he wrote a book
decisions.
about running Disney, and I guess he's come back, it sounds like. Yeah.
I don't think the people at that level
guess,
are making product decisions, are they?
If Lorcana goes nowhere, what will we do? Maybe we'll make a different podcast and people who've enjoyed following us will hear us talk about other things. Maybe we'll just say goodbye. But I guess that's just like say la vie to me. Like, we're in for the ride. I guess what I don't feel about what we're doing and about Lorcana either is like, this has got to succeed or else. That's just not where I'm at with this podcast. I feel like it's blown our minds already. And if the extent of this podcast is in 6 months' time, we're like saying goodbye to Lorcana, that'll have been a fun few episodes. Do you know what I mean? And it's been a great process.
Oh, totally, so. Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's also a lot of card games that I think we talked about this on the in the last episode. There are card games that have come and gone, and they've been fun for when they were around. And if you pick up some cards, they will still be fun if you want to play it with your mates. But I'm not one of these people who's like this has to succeed.
Yeah, but I also don't think Disney have got a huge amount invested in this game. It's Ravensburger's game, and they're using the IP. And why would Disney pull
definitely.
the plug? That it just wouldn't make sense to me. I mean, it could happen. Businesses don't always
of course.
Don't always reveal the reasons they make decisions, and things don't necessarily make sense. But I don't really see why they'd do that.
Okay, so next question. Mario's Gaming World. I'm not going to throw all of these over to you, David. I'm going to answer this one.
Yeah, you answer this one.
That it's only right.
Mario's Gaming World has asked us a question. It's one of my favourite channels about Lorcana.
Great, yeah. When does Mario's Gaming World get to be on an episode? So we have had requests and more requests for either us to appear on other people's content or for other people to appear on our content. And my response is always, I'm just a dude with a microphone. So we both have jobs and families.
We're dudes with microphones and lots of other stuff. That's the thing, isn't it?
So if you'd like to invite us onto a specific thing, we'll consider every invite we get. As for us inviting other people onto this podcast, I'm definitely not against the idea. I do want to have other people on, in particular people like Beck and people who are into the Disney side of things, to talk about that rather than just, trading card. However, yeah, it's just a matter of time. Like, we're hardly getting around to recording the episodes where it's just David and I at the moment. But yeah, we do want to make it happen. But I guess at some point maybe we just do we'll reach out to people for different episodes.
I think when there's more to say as well, then it's more interesting to have another voice, isn't there, and another perspective. At the minute, there's just not a lot to say. So yeah. I don't. If we had someone on, I don't know what we'd talk to them about. Or if we went on somewhere, I don't know what I'd say.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So just a
few comments. I don't know what to say. I'd say, and then we've been talking about it for an hour, even though there's nothing to say.
I know. But this is rather self-indulgent. I wonder who's still listening. Anyway, so did you know, David, that we're now followed by the official Disney Lorcana account?
Hello, official Disney Lorcana account. I don't know if they'll listen to that. They follow us on Twitter, do they?
They follow us on Twitter.
I'll record
anyway.
a thing, and you can put it on the tweet, and you can do one too, Simeon. Now it just feels weird. I can't do it. Hello, official Disney Lorcana account. We are very honoured that you followed us.
No, please don't do this. It's super
You can cut
awkward
that bit
now.
out.
You need to play it cool. You need to play it cool. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it in so everybody can experience the cringe. Anyway,
It's so
they've said
cringy.
welcome back. They've said welcome back, and we're glad you're feeling better, which is great. Thank you very much for the follow. They followed a load of content creators, which kind of says to me that they might be either reaching out for card spoilers. That seems to be a thing that companies do, or they're just interested in the community. So
Or
that's,
like,
it's
or
good
like
that
you said,
they're
they've
listening.
got someone working on the social medias now, which they might not have had in the past, and then that person has been strategically following people. Yeah,
We've had
who knows?
beautiful comments from Citizens of Lorcana and also from Dafydd Gape. We have had a question, though, from creator of Lorcania.com, which I'm so sorry, Artem. I need to get back to you. Artem's been chasing me to get our content onto Lorcana, just a link with the right size images and things.
So
I'm so sorry, I will get around to it.
Lorcania.com. So this is, am I
Lorcania,
remembering
a
right,
fan
that this
site.
is a website that helps you understand and organize the cards that are available. It's a kind of like along those kind of lines, is it? It's about a database of the Lorcana cards. Am I remembering
Exactly.
that right?
So this is aiming to be a deck building and collection manager for Lorcana once that's all, and it's looking really impressive. Like he's like
That's some
Artem's doing a
serious
great-
skills to set that up. I salute. Is it Artyom? Did you say?
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
incredible.
yeah. And he also has a creators feed on there, which he's reached out and said would be like to be. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I would, but I just need to do the thing anyway. He's got a question. He says, "What do you think will be revealed by Disney Lorcana by the end of this year?" So they've said they will be revealing more before Christmas. What do we think that will be?
What do you think it will be, Simeon?
I think it will be artwork, because what you can do is you can, if a savvy social media manager will go, I can divide up a card spoiler into two. I can just reveal the artwork.
They're
and people will get
listening to you
excited
right
of the
now. You've
character.
just said they're listening to us, Simeon. So if they
Well,
do
that's why
this,
I'm
you can
calling
take
them
all the
savvy.
credit.
That's why I'm calling them savvy, because to try and butter them up. Anyway, so they'll spoil the artwork and then they'll spoil the card a few weeks later, and that way you've got double the hype for the same content. So I think we'll start to see artwork relatively soon, followed by then some cards, followed by in the spring. They've already said in the spring they'll reveal the rules.
Yeah. Wow.
That's what I think. Anything else? Any other ideas there?
Only that I expect to be sorely disappointed. That's been my
Really?
experience of
Really?
anticipating stuff so far.
Come
Not
on,
in the
David,
sense
it'll
of
come, it'll come.
not in the sense of if they reveal some art, I expect to be disappointed in the art, but just in the sense of it'll be I expect it to be an anticlimax, that they're saying they'll reveal stuff and then what will it be? So you've gone down the whole let's compliment them and make them feel good about themselves route, and maybe they'll reveal stuff because of that. And I've gone down the whole let's show them.
Yeah, I'm sat here with
let them prove that they're doing something interesting kind of route. Because so
I've
far
offered them.
they've said stuff's going to come out, and then it's been an anticlimax. Not that it's not interesting, but as a content creator, it's not really enough to talk about, or not enough to get stuck into and get really, really excited about yet. But
I don't know. I
equally,
feel like
don't
I'm
blame
offering them a
like I said
carrot.
earlier,
You're-
because I don't think that they'll know what the timings should be, or they'll have.
I
a
feel
good
like
idea of
I'm
that.
offering them a carrot. I'm kind of just going, well done, guys. Offering them a carrot, and you're there with a stick. Just like, come on, guys, come on. I dare you not to. Come on, one more tweet with no information. I dare you. Okay. Anyway,
I mean, I don't
we've
mind
already-
if they do that. It's like that's their thing, I think, and it's kind of a fun game now, isn't it? Because there's only a few people watching, so it's kind of a little thing to play at the moment of like what's going to happen.
yeah, great. So we have had a question as well from Citizens of Lorcana, who are still doing a meme a day until Lorcana news. So,
Yeah, so it was
fair dues,
Citizens
massive
of
kudos.
Lorcana that asked them. See, this is why I'm feeling such an anticlimax, because Citizens of Lorcana asked Disney Lorcana, and I think this was the first time they replied to No, it probably wasn't. But the first time I'm aware of that, they replied to somebody about building up anticipation. So Citizens of Lorcana was like, when are you going to, can we have some news? And then they replied, and they replied with a picture of Kermit at typewriter saying, we're busy working on it. And then I just feel like, well, if you're busy working on it, work a bit harder, please. Because, there I go again with the stick. I'm terrible, aren't I?
David, they've got other things. They've got other things on. Okay, they've
got other things on. It's true.
But anyway, so Citizens of Lorcana posted a question, but I think we've already answered it, which was, what do you make of Disney Lorcana Twitter following 30 plus content creators and tweeters? Is this a sign they'll be actively involved in the community? And I think we've kind of already answered that, yeah, perhaps, but I mean, I think they've got a bigger marketing strategy than the people that are already involved, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I was them, I would want to be engaged with the people that are already involved, because somebody out of this is likely to do well. Does that make sense? I don't think everyone will, but there will be one or two content creators that, if this game takes off, then their content will also take off. And to be honest, I think that's more likely to be the kind of thing that RTM's building, that's like a database of how you manage your cards, than a podcast or a YouTube channel. But something's going to catch on, right? So they want to be on the money. It's on the money. They want to be aware of what's happening in this space, so that if somebody starts to accelerate in terms of the engagement that they're getting, that they can reach out and be part of that.
Okay, that was all of the questions. So, David, do you want to play a game?
You warned me about this before we started recording, and you know how enthusiastic I am about this.
Brilliant. You're so enthusiastic. You're raring to go. Amazing. Have you ever heard of the silly party game, Zeus on a Moose?
It's a board game party game, is it? I think I have.
Yeah. It's a party. So my kids and I love playing silly quiz kind of party games by a company called Big Potato Games. Big shout out to them. Thank you very much for a lot of laughter with my kids. They have a game called Zeus on a Moose, where they give you an answer that rhymes, and they will give you a question, and you have to guess the answer, and the answer always rhymes. So, for example, the god of thunder is on a deer, and you would say Zeus on a moose.
Okay.
I've written some for the cards that have been spoiled, and we're going to do quick fire, okay?
Yep. Well,
Great.
I'm not consenting to the quick fire. Let's.
No, it's okay. We can edit it so it seems like super quick fire.
Okay, quick
play
fire.
along
Let's
if
go.
you're
Let's
at home.
Go.
Play along if you're at home. See if you can get it before David. So, a blue alien falls off his bike.
Stitch in a ditch.
Yes, amazing. A high-pitched tailor gets married.
High-pitched tailor gets married. High-pitched tailor gets married. What is it?
Mickey Mouse has a spouse.
Oh, because he's high-pitched, because he talks with a high voice. Okay, got it, yeah.
They're all just the character, okay? They're all just the character. Okay.
I feel like you could write Dr. Zeus stories with this skill, Simeon. These are quite some rhyming skills.
Camp Pirate isn't himself after a fright. Captain Hook is feeling shook. A puppy-obsessed fashionista flies to South America.
Cruella de Vil goes to Brazil.
Amazing. Dragon or witch, she always looks fantastic.
Maleficent looks magnificent.
Brilliant. And kind robber prepares a fire.
Robin Hood. Burning wood.
Chopping wood. Yeah, great. Amazing. Well done. That's great. That's all of them. Nice.
That was fun times.
So there's a listener challenge, and that is that I couldn't think of anything that rhymes with Elsa, because that's the last card. Though we had 6 of them. There's a 7th card, which is Elsa.
Oh. I'll think of one on the spot then.
For Elsa, nothing rhymes with Elsa.
Elsa in a long car with a driver.
Elsa travels by limousine.
Ice Queen in a limousine.
Oh, okay. Well done. Oh, that was quick off the mark.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Well, we have been recording for so long and I've got to edit this. It's just as well that I finished work for the whole year. Did you have anything else you wanted to get in before we say goodbye to our listeners for now? Because we will be covering news in apparently quite shortly, according to the Lorcana Twitters.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that. It would be nice to have some kind of... I said the engine of podcast with chocolate earlier, but I feel like the engine of podcast is content, and we need some content to talk about.
We do.
I don't have... I've got to get my Disney quote in, haven't I, Simeon? I haven't done that yet. So it's been my favourite day, I'll say that. Because any day spent with you is my favourite day.
Why, thank you. It's only been an hour and a half.